Civilization is often defined as a complex human society characterized by the development of cities, structured governance, social hierarchies, technological innovations, and cultural achievements such as art, writing, and religion. At its core, a civilization represents humanity's ability to organize, innovate, and create systems that sustain communities over time. From the earliest settlements along fertile river valleys to the rise of vast empires, civilizations have shaped the trajectory of human history and paved the way for modern society. Key civilizations such as Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, ancient China, Mesoamerica, and Greece stand as pillars of early human achievement. Mesopotamia, often referred to as the Cradle of Civilization, introduced writing and early laws. Egypt dazzled the world with its monumental pyramids and understanding of the afterlife. The Indus Valley civilization pioneered advanced urban planning, while China established enduring philosophies and inventions. Mesoamerican societies, like the Maya, achieved astronomical precision, and Greece gave birth to democracy, art, and philosophy that continue to influence the modern world. This essay embarks on a comparative journey through these civilizations, exploring their similarities, unique traits, and enduring legacies. By understanding their contributions and interconnectedness, we celebrate the brilliance of our collective past and draw inspiration for the future. Mesopotamia, often referred to as the Cradle of Civilization, was one of the first regions where complex societies emerged. Geographically located in the fertile valley between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, this region corresponds to modern-day Iraq, parts of Syria, and Kuwait. Its name, derived from Greek, literally means land between the rivers. Around 3000 BCE, the convergence of fertile lands and abundant water sources allowed for the establishment of agricultural communities, which gradually evolved into thriving city-states. Mesopotamia's strategic location not only supported agriculture but also positioned it as a hub for trade, innovation, and cultural exchange. One of Mesopotamia's most profound contributions to humanity was the development of writing. The Sumerians, inhabitants of southern Mesopotamia, created cuneiform script around 3200 BCE, making it one of the earliest known writing systems. Initially used for recording economic transactions, cuneiform evolved to document religious texts, laws, literature, and scientific knowledge. The Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the world's oldest literary works, originated in this form. Writing revolutionized administration, allowing for more organized governance and the preservation of knowledge across generations. Another groundbreaking innovation was the invention of the wheel, estimated to have occurred around 3500 BCE. While initially used for pottery making, the wheel's application to carts and chariots transformed transportation and agriculture. This technological leap improved trade efficiency and enabled the movement of goods and people across vast distances, fostering economic and cultural connections. Mesopotamians were also pioneers in the development of legal systems, most notably reflected in the Code of Hammurabi. Created by King Hammurabi of Babylon around 1754 BCE, this set of laws was one of the first attempts to codify justice in a systematic way. The code consisted of 282 laws, carved into a stone stele, covering a range of topics including property rights, family disputes, and trade regulations. Its principle of an eye for an eye emphasized retributive justice but also introduced the idea of accountability and legal protection for citizens. Mesopotamian society was structured around city-states, which were independent urban centers that controlled surrounding agricultural lands. The earliest city-states, such as Uruk, Ur, and Eridu, emerged in Sumer, followed by powerful cities like Babylon and Nineveh under the Babylonian and Assyrian empires. Each city-state was governed by a king or ruler, who was believed to derive authority from the gods. This fusion of political power and religious belief solidified the ruler's position as both a political leader and a divine representative. Religion played a central role in Mesopotamian life, with a polytheistic belief system that revolved around deities controlling natural forces and human fate. Major gods such as Anu, god of the heavens, Enlil, god of wind, and Inanna, goddess of love and war, were worshipped in grand temples known as ziggurats. These massive, stepped structures served as both religious and administrative centers, reflecting the integration of religion into everyday governance and societal organization. Socially, Mesopotamian society was hierarchical. At the top were the king and priestly class, followed by scribes, merchants, and artisans. Farmers formed the largest segment, as agriculture was the backbone of the economy. Slaves, often prisoners of war or debtors, occupied the lowest tier. This social stratification ensured a division of labor, which was crucial for maintaining the region's economic and cultural growth. The legacy of Mesopotamia is profound and far-reaching. The invention of writing laid the foundation for recording history, communication, and bureaucracy, elements critical to the development of civilizations worldwide. The wheel revolutionized transportation and engineering, impacting technological advancements for millennia. Additionally, the Code of Hammurabi became a model for legal systems in future societies, emphasizing the importance of codified laws to ensure order and justice. Mesopotamia's trade networks further contributed to its legacy, connecting regions as far as the Indus Valley and Egypt. These exchanges facilitated not only the movement of goods like textiles, metals, and grains but also the spread of cultural and technological ideas. The concept of centralized governance and monumental religious structures influenced neighboring civilizations, leaving a lasting imprint on the development of ancient societies. A key factor in Mesopotamia's success was its location in a fertile river valley. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers provided essential irrigation for agriculture, ensuring food surpluses that allowed populations to grow and cities to flourish. This reliance on river systems mirrors the experiences of other ancient civilizations, such as the Nile in Egypt and the Indus River in South Asia. However, unlike Egypt's stable and predictable flooding, the Tigris and Euphrates were known for their unpredictable and often destructive floods, leading Mesopotamians to develop advanced irrigation systems and flood control techniques. Ancient Egypt, one of the most iconic civilizations in human history, flourished along the Nile River from around 3100 BCE to 30 BCE. This civilization, often referred to as the gift of the Nile, owed its success to the predictable flooding and fertile soil provided by the river. The annual inundation of the Nile deposited rich silt along its banks, enabling Egyptians to develop a stable and prosperous agricultural system. This natural advantage fostered societal growth, technological advancements, and the creation of enduring cultural and architectural marvels that still captivate the world today. One of its most significant achievements was the development of hieroglyphics, a complex writing system that combined pictorial symbols with phonetic sounds. Initially used for religious texts and monumental inscriptions, hieroglyphics were later adapted for administrative records, literature, and communication. The discovery of the Rosetta Stone in 1799, which contained the same text written in Greek, Demotic, and hieroglyphic script, was instrumental in deciphering this ancient language, unlocking Egypt's rich history for modern scholars. Egypt is also renowned for its architectural and engineering marvels, particularly the construction of pyramids. Built as grand tombs for pharaohs, these massive structures reflect both the Egyptians' religious devotion and their technological ingenuity. The Great Pyramid of Giza, constructed during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu around 2580 BCE, remains one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Its precise alignment, immense scale, and enduring structure continue to astound historians and engineers. In addition to monumental architecture, the Egyptians made strides in medicine and science. They practiced advanced medical techniques, including surgical procedures, bone setting, and the use of medicinal plants. Medical texts like the Edwin Smith Papyrus document treatments for injuries and illnesses, reflecting their systematic approach to healthcare. Furthermore, the Egyptians developed a 365-day solar calendar to predict the Nile's flooding, which became the basis for the modern calendar. Their astronomical observations and mathematical knowledge were essential for constructing temples, tombs, and irrigation systems with remarkable precision. Central to Egyptian civilization was the role of the pharaoh, the divine ruler who was considered both a king and a god. The pharaoh wielded absolute power over the state, controlling resources, military campaigns, and religious practices. This fusion of political and religious authority allowed for centralized governance, which distinguished Egypt from the more decentralized city-states of Mesopotamia. Religion permeated every aspect of Egyptian life, shaping their art, architecture, and worldview. The Egyptians believed in a complex pantheon of gods, with deities such as Ra, the sun god, Osiris, god of the afterlife, and Isis, goddess of magic and motherhood, playing central roles. The afterlife was a fundamental aspect of Egyptian religion, as they believed that life continued beyond death. This belief led to the practice of mummification, a process designed to preserve the body for the soul's journey in the afterlife. Tombs were filled with food, treasures, and objects that the deceased might need in the next world, reflecting their detailed spiritual understanding. Egyptian society was highly structured and hierarchical. At the top was the pharaoh, followed by priests, nobles, and officials who managed temples, land, and resources. Artisans, craftsmen, and merchants occupied the middle class, contributing to Egypt's economy and culture through trade and skilled labor. Farmers, who formed the majority of the population, worked the land and provided the agricultural surplus that sustained the state. At the bottom of the social hierarchy were slaves, often prisoners of war, who performed labor-intensive tasks. The Egyptians' ability to organize large-scale projects reflects the strength of their centralized governance. Monumental architecture, such as temples and pyramids, required immense coordination, labor, and resources. The construction of structures like the Temple of Karnak and Abu Simbel demonstrated their expertise in engineering, mathematics, and art. These achievements were not merely displays of power but also expressions of cultural identity and devotion to the gods. The legacy of ancient Egypt is both enduring and far-reaching. The pyramids, particularly the Great Pyramid of Giza, remain symbols of human ingenuity and perseverance. Egyptian advancements in science, medicine, and engineering laid the groundwork for future discoveries and influenced neighboring civilizations such as Greece and Rome. Their detailed records, preserved through hieroglyphics, provide invaluable insight into their history, religion, and daily life. The preservation of Egyptian artifacts, including mummies, papyri, and architectural wonders, has allowed modern scholars to reconstruct their civilization with remarkable clarity. This enduring preservation is a testament to their understanding of materials, such as papyrus and stone, and their commitment to documenting their legacy. A notable contrast between ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia lies in their systems of governance. While Mesopotamia was characterized by decentralized city-states, Egypt was unified under a single, centralized ruler, the pharaoh. This centralization enabled Egypt to undertake large-scale projects and maintain long periods of stability. Additionally, Egypt's relatively predictable Nile floods provided a stable agricultural foundation, whereas Mesopotamia's Tigris and Euphrates rivers were unpredictable, requiring more complex irrigation systems. The Indus Valley Civilization, IVC, one of the earliest and most sophisticated ancient societies, emerged around 3300 BCE and thrived until approximately 1300 BCE. Situated in the fertile plains of the Indus River and its tributaries, the civilization spanned what is now Pakistan, northwest India, and eastern Afghanistan. At its peak, it encompassed over 1,500 settlements, with major urban centers like Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro serving as the crown jewels of this enigmatic society. Despite its size and advancements, much about the Indus Valley civilization remains shrouded in mystery, particularly its script and ultimate decline. The Indus Valley civilization is widely regarded for its extraordinary achievements in urban planning and civil engineering. Unlike the monumental architecture seen in Egypt or Mesopotamia, the cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro focused on functionality, order, and sanitation. This emphasis on practicality is reflected in the grid-based layout of their cities, an approach far ahead of its time. Streets were meticulously planned in a rectangular grid pattern, with main roads running perpendicular to smaller lanes, ensuring efficient movement and organization. One of the civilization's most remarkable innovations was its advanced drainage and sanitation systems. Each household was equipped with private wells, bathrooms, and underground drainage systems, constructed using precisely fitted baked bricks. Wastewater from homes flowed into covered drains that ran beneath the streets, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of public hygiene. This level of planning highlights a collective focus on the well-being of urban residents, an unprecedented achievement for the ancient world. Residential architecture in the Indus Valley reflected a uniformity that suggests strict urban regulations. Houses, often 2 stories high, were built with standard-sized bricks and featured courtyards for natural ventilation. This uniformity extended to public structures as well, including the Great Bath of Mohenjo-Daro, a large, waterproof tank that may have served religious or ceremonial purposes. The presence of granaries and citadels further indicates organized governance and resource management, though the nature of this governance remains unknown. The economy of the Indus Valley civilization was primarily based on agriculture and trade. The fertile plains of the Indus River provided ample opportunity for cultivating crops such as wheat, barley, peas, and cotton. In fact, the Indus people were among the first to domesticate cotton, contributing to the development of textile production. Advanced irrigation systems, including dams and canals, ensured a stable agricultural surplus, supporting the growth of urban centers. Trade played a central role in the civilization's prosperity, with evidence of extensive internal and external trade networks. Indus merchants engaged in commerce with regions as far as Mesopotamia, Persia, and Central Asia, exchanging goods such as beads, pottery, metals, and cotton textiles. One of the most significant artifacts of this trade is the discovery of seals, small carved objects made of steatite, used to mark trade goods. These seals often depict animals like bulls, elephants, and unicorn-like figures, along with symbols from the yet undeciphered Indus script. The seals suggest a well-developed system of communication and trade regulation, though their precise function remains speculative. Culturally, the Indus Valley people demonstrated an appreciation for art and craftsmanship. Artifacts such as the famous dancing girl bronze statue and intricately carved terracotta figurines showcase their artistic skills and aesthetic sensibilities. The uniformity of pottery designs, jewelry, and weights suggests a highly organized and interconnected society. However, the lack of palaces, temples, or large monuments indicates a unique societal focus on urban life and daily existence rather than glorification of rulers or deities. The Indus script, composed of symbols found on seals and pottery, remains one of the greatest mysteries of this civilization. Scholars have yet to decipher this writing system, leaving much of their history, religious beliefs, and governance unknown. The inability to read the script has created challenges in fully understanding the culture and daily life of this enigmatic society. The sudden decline of the Indus Valley civilization around 1300 BCE has puzzled historians and archaeologists for decades. Unlike Egypt or Mesopotamia, there is no evidence of conquests, wars, or large-scale invasions leading to its collapse. Instead, multiple theories suggest that environmental factors played a significant role in the civilization's downfall. One prominent theory points to climate change, which may have caused a decline in monsoon rains, leading to droughts and the gradual desertification of fertile lands. This would have severely impacted agriculture, the backbone of their economy. Another theory involves the shifting of rivers, particularly the drying up of the Sarasvati River, which may have forced people to abandon urban centers and migrate elsewhere. Additionally, changes in the Indus River's course may have caused devastating floods, disrupting settlements and trade networks. Other scholars propose that a gradual decline in trade with Mesopotamia, combined with economic stagnation and social challenges, led to the civilization's eventual demise. Regardless of the exact cause, the lack of written records and archaeological evidence complicates efforts to pinpoint the reasons behind the decline. The Indus Valley civilization stands out for its peaceful focus on urban planning and daily life in contrast to the monumental achievements seen in Egypt and Mesopotamia. While Egypt concentrated its resources on constructing grand pyramids to honor divine rulers, and Mesopotamia developed towering ziggurats and intricate legal systems, the Indus people prioritized functional infrastructure and sanitation for the collective good. Their cities reflect a level of urban sophistication rarely seen in other ancient civilizations, with a focus on equality and practicality rather than ostentatious displays of power. Unlike the centralized governance of Egypt under the pharaohs, the absence of royal tombs, palaces, or visible authority in the Indus Valley suggests a decentralized or egalitarian societal structure. Their reliance on trade, agriculture, and standardized systems of weights and measures points to a well-coordinated, yet less hierarchical, society. The origins of Chinese civilization trace back to the Yellow River Valley, often referred to as the Cradle of Chinese Civilization. This fertile region, sustained by the Yellow River's nutrient-rich loess soil, provided the foundation for one of the world's most enduring civilizations. Ancient China's formative period is traditionally divided into three early dynasties: the Xia, 2100 BCE to 1600 BCE, the Shang, 1600 BCE to 1046 BCE, and the Zhou, 1046 BCE to 256 BCE. Together, these dynasties laid the groundwork for China's distinct cultural, political, and philosophical identity, much of which continues to influence the modern world. The Yellow River, Huanghe, with its periodic flooding, shaped both the fertility of the land and the challenges faced by early Chinese settlers. Unlike Egypt, where the Nile's floods were predictable, the Yellow River was known as China's sorrow due to its devastating floods, which forced the development of advanced irrigation systems and collective resource management. The Xia dynasty, 2100 BCE to 1600 BCE, though shrouded in legend, is considered China's first dynasty, marking the transition from Neolithic settlements to a more organized society. It was followed by the Shang dynasty, 1600 BCE to 1046 BCE, which solidified early Chinese civilization with advancements in writing, metalwork, and governance. Finally, the Zhou dynasty, 1046 BCE to 256 BCE, introduced new philosophical and political concepts, including the mandate of heaven, shaping Chinese governance for centuries. The Shang and Zhou dynasties were particularly notable for their advancements in bronze metallurgy. Artisans created elaborate bronze vessels, weapons, and ritual objects, demonstrating both technical skill and artistic expression. Bronze artifacts, often adorned with intricate motifs, were used in religious ceremonies, highlighting the importance of ancestral worship and the connection between the spiritual and material worlds. One of the most significant cultural innovations of the Shang period was the use of oracle bones, tortoise shells and animal bones inscribed with early Chinese script. Oracle bones were used in divination rituals to communicate with deities or ancestors, providing insight into important matters such as harvests, wars, and royal decisions. The inscriptions found on these bones represent the earliest known form of Chinese writing, a precursor to the complex logographic system that continues to evolve today. The Zhou dynasty marked a pivotal shift in Chinese thought with the emergence of major philosophical traditions. It was during this time that figures like Confucius, 551 BCE to 479 BCE, and Laozi laid the foundations for Confucianism and Daoism, respectively. Confucian philosophy emphasized morality, filial piety, and social harmony, advocating for the proper conduct of rulers and subjects alike. Daoism, on the other hand, stressed living in harmony with the natural order, the Tao, and achieving balance through simplicity and introspection. These philosophies provided a moral and ethical framework that shaped Chinese governance, culture, and society for millennia. The Zhou period also introduced the mandate of heaven, a concept that legitimized the authority of rulers by claiming divine approval. According to this principle, a dynasty's right to rule depended on its ability to govern justly and maintain harmony. Natural disasters, famines, or rebellions were seen as signs that a ruler had lost the mandate, justifying their overthrow. This idea became a cornerstone of Chinese political philosophy, influencing the rise and fall of dynasties for over 2,000 years. The political organization of early China evolved significantly across the Xia, Shang, and Zhou periods. During the Shang dynasty, kings ruled over a network of city-states, relying on a hierarchical structure that combined centralized authority with regional control. The king acted as both a political leader and a religious intermediary, performing rituals to ensure prosperity and divine favor. The Zhou dynasty introduced a form of feudalism, where land was divided among lords and nobles who pledged loyalty to the king. These regional leaders, in turn, governed their territories and collected taxes. While this decentralized system enabled the Zhou to control a vast territory, it eventually weakened central authority, as powerful lords began to rival the king's influence. This instability culminated in the Warring States period, 475 BCE to 221 BCE, a time of intense conflict that ultimately led to the unification of China under the Qin dynasty. The early Chinese dynasties left a profound and enduring legacy, shaping the cultural, philosophical, and political identity of China. The development of writing systems, such as the oracle bone script, provided a means to document history, rituals, and governance, facilitating the growth of a literate elite class. The emphasis on ancestral worship and spirituality influenced religious practices for centuries, blending with later traditions like Buddhism. Philosophically, the teachings of Confucius and Laozi became pillars of Chinese thought, influencing not only governance but also ethics, family dynamics, and education. Confucian ideals of loyalty, respect, and duty became deeply embedded in Chinese culture, promoting stability and social harmony. Similarly, Daoism's emphasis on balance and natural harmony contributed to artistic and scientific pursuits, including medicine, astronomy, and alchemy. The concept of the mandate of heaven set a unique precedent for political legitimacy, establishing a cyclical view of history where dynasties rose and fell based on their ability to maintain order and justice. This principle distinguished Chinese governance from the divine rule seen in Egypt or Mesopotamia, where rulers were often considered gods themselves. Ancient China's contributions stand out for their emphasis on philosophical thought and governance rather than monumental architecture or centralized religious power. While civilizations like Egypt and Mesopotamia focused on building temples and tombs to honor divine rulers, early China prioritized the development of ethical systems and political philosophies that emphasized balance, justice, and moral conduct. The Zhou dynasty's mandate of heaven, for example, contrasts with Egypt's divine kingship, offering a more merit-based justification for leadership. Furthermore, China's enduring emphasis on education, writing, and philosophy distinguished it from the urban planning focus of the Indus Valley or the legalistic achievements of Mesopotamia. This intellectual legacy shaped China's cultural resilience and continuity, enabling it to withstand the test of time and emerge as one of the world's most enduring civilizations. The Mayan civilization, one of the most advanced and enigmatic ancient cultures, thrived in the dense rainforests of the Yucatan Peninsula and surrounding regions, encompassing present-day Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. Emerging as early as 2000 BCE, the Maya reached their peak during the Classic period, 250 CE to 900 CE, before experiencing a gradual decline. Despite the challenges of their environment and geographical isolation from Eurasian trade and cultural exchanges, the Maya developed extraordinary achievements in writing, mathematics, astronomy, and architecture, solidifying their place as one of Mesoamerica's most significant civilizations. The Maya inhabited the tropical lowlands and mountainous highlands of Central America. The dense rainforests presented both opportunities and challenges, with fertile soil for agriculture but a lack of large rivers for consistent water sources. To sustain their growing population, the Maya ingeniously developed systems of irrigation, terracing, and reservoirs. Key city-states such as Tikal, Palenque, Copan, Chichen Itza, and Uxmal became centers of power, culture, and innovation. The Mayan civilization can be divided into three major phases: Pre-Classic period, 2000 BCE to 250 CE, early settlement, development of agriculture, and ceremonial centers. Classic period, 250 CE to 900 CE, flourishing city-states, monumental architecture, and cultural achievements. Post-Classic period, 900 CE to 1500 CE, political fragmentation and decline, culminating with the arrival of the Spanish in the 16th century. The Maya were pioneers in writing systems, developing the most advanced form of writing in the Americas. Their script, a combination of glyphs and phonetic symbols, allowed them to document history, rituals, and royal lineages on stone stelae, pottery, and codices. These written records have been instrumental in unraveling the complexities of Mayan society. Their contributions to mathematics and astronomy were equally groundbreaking. The Maya developed a sophisticated numerical system, including the concept of 0 centuries before it was adopted in other parts of the world. This allowed for precise astronomical calculations and calendar development. The Maya created two interlocking calendars. 1. The Hab, a 365-day solar calendar for agricultural and civic purposes. 2. The Solkin, a 260-day ritual calendar for religious and ceremonial events. The synchronization of these calendars into the calendar round enabled the accurate prediction of celestial events such as eclipses, solstices, and planetary movements. The long count calendar, another innovation, allowed the Maya to measure vast periods of time, reflecting their deep understanding of cyclical and linear time. The Mayas' keen interest in astronomy is evident in their architectural alignment of temples and observatories with celestial bodies. Structures such as the El Caracol Observatory in Chichen Itza demonstrate their ability to integrate scientific knowledge into monumental architecture. Mayan culture was deeply intertwined with religion and mythology, which permeated all aspects of daily life. They were polytheistic, worshipping a vast pantheon of gods associated with nature, agriculture, and celestial phenomena. Key deities included Itzamna, creator god, Chak, rain god, and Kainacha, sun god. Religious practices included elaborate rituals and ceremonies aimed at appeasing the gods and ensuring cosmic balance. These rituals often involved bloodletting and human sacrifices, which were believed to nourish the gods and sustain the universe. Royal blood, considered sacred, was frequently offered during ceremonies to symbolize the king's divine connection. The Maya also developed the Mesoamerican ball game, a ritualistic sport played on large courts, such as those at Copan and Chichen Itza. The game held religious significance, often symbolizing cosmic struggles between light and darkness. Losers of the ball game were sometimes sacrificed, underscoring its gravity within Mayan society. The Maya excelled in monumental architecture, constructing towering temples, pyramids, and palaces that showcased their engineering prowess. Cities like Tikal and Palenque were adorned with massive stone structures, intricately carved with glyphs and decorative art. Temples such as the Temple of the Great Jaguar in Tikal and the Temple of Kukulkan in Chichen Itza were not only architectural marvels but also served as ceremonial centers aligned with celestial events. The step pyramids built by the Maya remain some of their most iconic legacies. These structures functioned as platforms for rituals, sacrifices, and political displays, symbolizing the connection between the earthly and divine realms. The Maya left an enduring legacy that continues to fascinate historians, archaeologists, and scientists. Their advancements in mathematics, astronomy, and calendar systems rival those of contemporary civilizations such as Mesopotamia and Egypt. The concept of zero, their precise astronomical observations, and the long count calendar highlight their unparalleled scientific achievements. Despite the eventual decline of their cities, Mayan culture persisted through the descendants of the civilization, many of whom continue to uphold traditional languages, rituals, and practices across Central America today. The Mayan civilization stands out for its remarkable scientific achievements, particularly in astronomy and timekeeping, developed in complete isolation from the technological and intellectual exchanges of Eurasia. Unlike the centralized governance seen in ancient Egypt or China, the Maya operated through independent city-states, each with its own rulers and deities. This decentralized system bears similarities to ancient Greece, though the Maya's focus on religious rituals contrasts sharply with Greece's philosophical emphasis on rational inquiry and governance. While civilizations like Egypt and Mesopotamia channeled their resources into monumental tombs and temples, the Maya combined scientific precision with architectural brilliance, creating structures that served both ceremonial and observational purposes. Their achievements underscore humanity's capacity for intellectual and cultural development, even in geographically isolated regions. Ancient Greece, located in the eastern Mediterranean, flourished between 800 BCE and 146 BCE. This period, marked by the rise of influential city-states, such as Athens, Sparta, and Corinth, established Greece as the cradle of Western thought. Its cultural, intellectual, and political innovations continued to shape modern civilization. Greece's emphasis on philosophy, democracy, art, and sports laid the groundwork for many of the values and systems that define the Western world today. Greece's geography, with its mountainous terrain and scattered islands, led to the development of independent city-states, each with its own government, customs, and way of life. The lack of central unity meant that cities like Athens and Sparta often had conflicting interests, leading to frequent wars, such as the Peloponnesian War, 431 BCE to 404 BCE, which pitted Athens against Sparta. The history of ancient Greece is typically divided into several key periods. The Archaic period, 800 BCE to 500 BCE. This period saw the formation of city-states and the early development of Greek culture. The introduction of the Greek alphabet, which was adapted from Phoenician script, laid the foundation for literacy and intellectual growth. The Classical period, 500 BCE to 323 BCE, often regarded as the height of Greek civilization, this period saw the flourishing of philosophy, democracy, and the arts. Athens became a center of intellectual and artistic achievement, while the Peloponnesian War led to shifts in power. The Hellenistic period, 323 BCE to 146 BCE, following the death of Alexander the Great, Greek culture spread across much of the known world, blending with local cultures in regions like Egypt, Persia, and India, creating a new, cosmopolitan world. One of Greece's most enduring contributions to world history is its philosophy, which laid the foundation for Western intellectual traditions. Philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle revolutionized human thought, challenging people to think critically about ethics, existence, governance, and the nature of the universe. Socrates, 469 BCE to 399 BCE, often considered the father of Western philosophy, introduced the Socratic method, a form of dialogue aimed at stimulating critical thinking and uncovering contradictions in beliefs. His focus on self-awareness and virtue had a profound influence on later thinkers. Plato, 428 BCE to 348 BCE, Socrates' student, established his own philosophical school, the Academy, where he wrote extensively about ideal forms, justice, and the nature of reality. His work The Republic introduced the idea of an ideal society ruled by philosopher kings, a concept that would influence political thought for centuries. Aristotle, 384 BCE to 322 BCE, Plato's student, made significant contributions to logic, ethics, politics, and natural sciences. His ideas on empiricism and systematic reasoning influenced Western thought, particularly in the development of scientific methodology. In addition to philosophy, Greece's democratic innovations are perhaps their most revolutionary contribution to political theory. Athens, in particular, developed the world's first known democracy in the 5th century BCE. Citizens, excluding women, slaves, and foreigners, participated in decision-making through direct participation in the assembly. This marked a shift from monarchies and oligarchies to a system where the people had the power to shape the laws and policies of their society. While Athenian democracy was limited, it provided a blueprint for modern democratic systems. The Olympic Games, originating in Olympia in 776 BCE, were another Greek innovation. These games, held every 4 years in honor of the god Zeus, not only celebrated athleticism and competition but also promoted unity among the Greek city-states. The Olympic Games remain a symbol of international cooperation and athletic excellence today. Greek art and architecture are iconic, influencing styles that continue to be revered worldwide. In architecture, the Parthenon in Athens, completed in 438 BCE, stands as one of the greatest achievements of Doric architecture. Built to honor the goddess Athena, it represents the Greek ideals of balance, harmony, and proportion. Greek architects and artists were obsessed with symmetry, which they believed reflected the divine order of the universe. Greek sculpture also revolutionized the representation of the human form. Early Greek sculptures, such as the Koros statues, were rigid and idealized. However, over time, sculptors like Phidias and Praxiteles developed more realistic and dynamic figures, capturing the beauty and movement of the human body. Famous sculptures like the Discobolus, the discus thrower, and the Venus de Milo showcase the Greek mastery of anatomical accuracy and emotional expression. In painting, while few works have survived, the use of vibrant colors and intricate patterns in pottery, such as black figure and red figure pottery, helped to preserve visual depictions of everyday life, gods, and mythological stories. The influence of ancient Greece on Western thought, politics, and arts cannot be overstated. Greek philosophy formed the basis for much of modern Western philosophy. The works of Plato and Aristotle, in particular, continue to be studied and debated in philosophical discourse today. The Socratic method is still used in modern education, particularly in law schools. In politics, the idea of democracy pioneered in Athens provided the foundation for modern representative democracies. While modern systems of government are more complex and inclusive than ancient Athenian democracy, the principles of civic participation, equality before the law, and popular sovereignty all trace their origins to Greece. Greek art and architecture have had a lasting impact on Western culture. The neoclassical architecture of the 18th and 19th centuries, seen in the designs of famous buildings like the White House and the U.S. Capitol, draws directly from the ideals of Greek design, particularly the use of columns and symmetry. Greek sculpture also set the standard for the depiction of the human form, influencing artists from the Renaissance to the modern era. When compared with other ancient civilizations like Egypt and Mesopotamia, Greece stands out for its emphasis on individualism, personal freedom, and rational governance. In contrast to Egypt's theocratic and highly hierarchical society, where the pharaoh was considered a living god, Greece celebrated the role of the individual and the importance of intellectual and artistic achievement. Unlike Mesopotamian city-states, which were often dominated by religious and royal authority, the Greek city-states placed significant power in the hands of citizens, although this was limited to a minority of the population. Furthermore, Greece's intellectual contributions focused more on reason and observation rather than divine will or religious doctrines. The Greek emphasis on rational thought and the exploration of the natural world stood in contrast to the myth-based explanations of the cosmos found in other civilizations, such as Mesopotamia and Egypt. The ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, China, Mesoamerica, and Greece share several key features, yet also demonstrate remarkable differences. Understanding these commonalities and contrasts offers valuable insights into how societies develop and shape the course of history. Role of rivers. A defining feature of early civilizations, the importance of rivers cannot be overstated. Mesopotamia, located between the Tigris and Euphrates, Egypt, along the Nile, and the Indus Valley civilization, along the Indus River, all thrived because of fertile land that enabled agriculture. These rivers not only provided water for irrigation but also served as transportation routes, facilitating trade and cultural exchange. The regular flooding of these rivers ensured abundant harvests, fostering the growth of large, organized societies. Writing systems. All of these civilizations developed writing systems to record and communicate vital information. In Mesopotamia, cuneiform emerged as the first writing system, used for trade, legal documentation, and religious texts. Egyptians created hieroglyphics, while the Indus Valley had an undeciphered script, still a mystery to this day. Mesoamerican civilizations, such as the Maya, also created intricate writing systems, and Greece laid the foundation of the alphabet that influenced modern languages. Religious influence. Religion was a powerful force in all these societies, with polytheism being a central feature. In Egypt, the pharaoh was considered a divine ruler, while in Mesopotamia, gods played a significant role in governance and daily life. Similarly, Mesoamerican civilizations, such as the Maya and Aztec, emphasized gods and religious rituals in their governance, including human sacrifice. In Greece, gods were not only worshipped but also portrayed with human traits, reflecting their influence on human affairs. Social hierarchies. All these civilizations had rigid social hierarchies. In Egypt and Mesopotamia, the ruling elite and religious clergy held significant power, while the majority of the population, often farmers or laborers, had little influence. In Greece, society was also stratified, although the concept of citizenship provided a sense of participation for a select group, which was limited by gender, wealth, and status. Governance. One of the most striking differences lies in their systems of governance. In Egypt, centralized power rested with the pharaoh, a divine ruler whose word was law, reinforcing a highly structured and unified state. This contrasted sharply with Greece, where political systems varied from democracy in Athens, where free male citizens had the right to vote and participate in decision-making, to oligarchy and military rule in other city-states like Sparta. Mesopotamia, with its independent city-states such as Sumer and Babylon, also had a decentralized governance structure, with each city-state often governed by a king or priest-king. Cultural priorities. The cultural priorities of these civilizations also diverged. While Egypt and Mesopotamia focused on the construction of monumental structures, such as the pyramids and ziggurats, which reflected religious devotion in the afterlife, Greece placed greater emphasis on intellectual pursuits, particularly philosophy, democracy, and the arts. Greek philosophy, with its focus on reason and inquiry, set it apart from the more religiously oriented cultural achievements in Egypt and Mesopotamia. Trade and cultural exchange. The ancient world was interconnected through trade networks, with civilizations in Mesopotamia, Egypt, and China engaging in long-distance trade across the Eurasian landmass. These exchanges facilitated the spread of technologies, such as metallurgy, and ideas, including religion and art. Indus Valley traders likely connected with civilizations like Mesopotamia, although much of their interactions remain unknown due to the undeciphered script. Isolation of Mesoamerica. In contrast, Mesoamerican civilizations, such as the Maya, developed largely in isolation from Eurasian civilizations. Despite the lack of direct contact, the Maya achieved remarkable advancements in astronomy, mathematics, and writing. This demonstrates how isolated cultures, through innovation and ingenuity, could still thrive and develop sophisticated systems of knowledge, architecture, and governance. The innovations of ancient civilizations have had a lasting influence on the development of modern societies. The writing systems of Mesopotamia and Egypt laid the groundwork for literacy and record-keeping, which are fundamental to today's administration, law, and communication. The legal systems of ancient civilizations, particularly Hammurabi's code in Mesopotamia and the Roman law influenced by Greek thought, shaped modern legal frameworks and concepts of justice. Architectural innovations, such as the pyramids and Greek temples, continue to inspire modern buildings and engineering techniques. Beyond technological and architectural advances, ancient civilizations offer important lessons in sustainability, governance, and cultural preservation. The rise and fall of these civilizations show the importance of adaptation to environmental changes, as seen in the decline of the Indus Valley and the Maya due to climate change and agricultural challenges. The survival of ancient cultures, such as Greek philosophy and Egyptian art, provides insight into the significance of preserving cultural achievements and knowledge across generations. Lastly, the importance of cultural exchange between civilizations cannot be underestimated. The Silk Road, connecting China to the Mediterranean, facilitated the exchange of ideas and goods, contributing to the development of science, art, and technology. The history of these ancient civilizations underscores the value of cooperation, innovation, and mutual learning, principles that are just as relevant in today's globalized world. In examining the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, China, Mesoamerica, and Greece, we see the profound impact these societies had on the course of human history. From the invention of writing and the creation of legal codes in Mesopotamia to the philosophical foundations of Greece and the advanced engineering feats of Egypt and Mesoamerica, each civilization left a unique legacy that has shaped the modern world. The development of agriculture, monumental architecture, sophisticated governance, and profound spiritual beliefs are all enduring contributions that continue to influence contemporary life. These ancient cultures, despite their differences, laid the groundwork for many aspects of modern society, such as law, politics, trade, and education. Their accomplishments serve as a testament to human ingenuity and the capacity for growth, adaptation, and cultural achievement. As we look to the future, the lessons drawn from these civilizations, particularly in terms of sustainability, governance, and cultural preservation, remind us that understanding the past empowers us to shape a better future. By learning from the triumphs and failures of ancient societies, we can better navigate the challenges of today and build a more connected, thoughtful, and resilient world.